John Jackson.
Back on Trojans Live, it's the Chevy closeout, and the 2017s are going fast. Find special closeout pricing on many of Chevy's most popular 2017 models like Silverado, Tahoe, and Traverse. Visit your Southern California dealer or SoCalChevy.com today. Jordan Moore, John Jackson. We are joined now by Chris Rick. You don't know Chris Rick, but you do know what he does on Saturdays. You take on what is really one of the most iconic looks in this school, what people associate every bumper in and out of television breaks, every start of every game. It's that drum major and putting the sword in the ground. It's I would imagine, a coveted spot at this school. You go down in history. So how does one become the drum major?
Yeah, so I was part of the band for 2 years beforehand. So this is my third year Trojan Marching Band. I'm a junior as well, so true junior and junior in the Trojan Marching Band. So the first 2 years I was a tuba player. Went to the Holiday Bowl, went to the Rose Bowl last year, which was just incredible. And then after that, during the spring, there's like a week-by-week practice with the old drum major. If you're interested in applying and stuff. And then during April, that's like crunch time, and that's you have your first week is interviews with all like the big shots in the band. Dr. Bartner, all the ADs, all of them. And then the second week is physical audition in front of all the section leaders. So you go through the pregame routine, which is pretty much everything post-stab. So, conducting the band out, coming out on tribute to Troy, and pumping your arms and stuff. And then the last week they cut it down to 4 people, and then those 4 people will do the whole pregame routine after the stab. You don't get to do the stab till you're actually drum major.
Right.
Only the drum major can do that.
Yeah, only drum major does that. So you do everything post-stab, and then you give a speech to the whole band. Because that's like one of your primary, and this is like kind of behind the scenes stuff. One of your primary duties is drum major. And honestly, the 2 things that stress me out on game day, 2 things I love doing is the first thing is giving the speech to the band, and the second stabbing the field. But obviously that's a little more behind the scenes.
Now, does a drum major have to come from the band, or can it be anybody outside the band?
Yeah,
it has to come from within.
Yeah, it has to be within. And honestly, so I'm actually kind of young for doing it. Usually you have to be either a senior or even a 5th year to be drum major.
So do you get to do it again?
Well, I have to technically re-audition.
You do?
And
all right.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to run against me, then I have to train them. I haven't made the official word. I'm focused on winning out this season before I look at next year. But, I do have the opportunity to try for it out again and, hopefully come back.
But then you have to train. You have to whoever's trying to do it next year. You have to
I
train
do
them.
Train them. Yeah,
He's gonna win.
It's an interesting scenario.
Just tell him to stab the sword right away.
No.
Start to stab the sword.
Yeah, no, it's not a corrupt system. I'm gonna try to, if someone's better than me, then I'll train them and have them come out.
Well, it seems like the hardest part of the training is the sword wielding, or at least the most dangerous part. But I mean, that's a real skilled thing. I mean, it's almost like a baton twirler. How do you learn that so quickly?
A lot of drum majors and the term drum major is leader of the band. So like in Big Ten bands and stuff, they're the guys that like lean all the way back and twirl batons and stuff.
They do a lot of flips.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't ever have to flip.
No, I'm not that nimble. I'm a little bulkier than them. I don't think I can do that. No, it's honestly, it's a very, very, very unique thing, and you just have to learn it by getting your hands on the sword. I know, so whenever you're going through all those practices in the spring and stuff, the old drum major will actually tell you to make your own sword. So I went up to the PAX Hardware, or I think it's a PAX up on Vermont, and you go back in the aisle with all the piping and stuff, and you're just like, all the sword made people looking at you so weird because you're like trying to construct this thing that looks like a sword, feels like the sword, and they're just like, what are you constructing over there? And it's like, it's for a thing. But yeah, so that's the first thing you do whenever you're auditioning for drum majors. You're practicing with like just a hunk of metal just to get used to the weight and stuff, and then you actually start practicing with the sword and going through the routine, just getting used to the weight of it.
Now, prior to being the drum major, how good were you at playing an instrument? I mean, that's how it started, right? I mean, just being a part of the band.
Yeah, so I'm originally actually from right outside of Kansas City in Missouri. So I didn't actually grow up with USC football, which is kind of surprising to a lot of people. But anyway, I just during middle school, everyone there picked up an instrument, and then I just kept playing it through high school. When I was a marching band in high school, whenever I was looking at colleges, one of the biggest things for me coming to USC was, this visible band, super energetic and stuff. And I didn't really appreciate it, though, what it fully meant until I was actually here in this band. It's just been an incredible experience. But yeah, you do have to. I was, relatively okay in my instrument, I like to think, after playing it for a while. So Yeah, I did play an instrument though before I was a drum major.
All right, so you told us you have to give a pregame speech too. We always talk to Clay Held, and always has to give a big speech. You have something special planned? I mean, this is a Pac-12 championship game. You crafting this thing?
Honestly, for me, whenever every single drum, and one of the best, coolest things about this position is that every single drum major has, so far could be his or her own take on it. So for me personally, I like to think a little bit more of the speech like the night before, or even like sometimes kind of crafted the day of. I like to be like, have it come from like, the quote unquote like heart a little more. Like I like to, kind of dig in. Like whenever we went to Notre Dame, like one of the things I talked about is from our practice field, you could see their dorm. And their dorm had this like giant beat SC out in front of it. So, that's one of the things that was firing me up, and being on the practice field, seeing their symbols and stuff. So you just kind of got to draw in from like what you're seeing around the sections and kind of what the situation is on game day. But
when do you snap in? When do you get in character?
As soon as I'm putting the armor on, I personally don't like method act, quote unquote, as much. Like usually it's just for me. It's like I'm just doing my job on game day. So usually like the seriousness just comes with the job. I feel like I don't have like a resting happy face anyway. But a lot of people are just it seems like I'm not talkative on game day, which is kind of part of the job. But also I'm so focused on what I'm doing because my primary job, I love being central to like USC tradition. It means a lot to me, but the biggest part of my job is being the leader of the band and making sure that I'm not messing up at any point in the day.
The one thing I have to ask, and this would be my biggest temptation if I was in your shoes, when we play in the Rose Bowl and we're playing against UCLA, right? You're not supposed
He didn't have to do it this year.
You didn't have to do it this year, but if the time arises, how tempting is it to just say, you know what?
Well, that'll be one of my last. That would be one of my last games.
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Well, there was that incident in 2014 or whatever. Then a
player was on the field.
I think it's more of a. I think honestly, it's less for me. It'd be less about the feedback from the crowd and stuff. It'd be about Dr. Barner chewing me out.
Okay. There's consequences.
All right, we're counting down to kickoff, and it's a big one with Mito. Swiss watches since 1918, the official timekeeper of USC Athletics. Be the first to own the Fight On limited edition timepiece. True Trojan fans, visit shopmito.com/USC. That's shopmito, MIDO.com/USC. Hey, the next season up is men's volleyball. They're about to get things started, the turn of the year. And the head coach, Jeff Nygaard's in the house to tell us about it next.